नसक्नेको हकमा अलिकति विपन्न वर्गहरूलाई चाहिँ बढी सपोर्ट गर्ने किसिमको योजना बनेको छ।
According to the doctors, children, the elderly, postpartum women, and patients with chronic illnesses are at higher risk during such cold weather.
हैन र अहिले चिसोबाट जोगिनु पर्छ। यसले चाहिँ घटना यसले श्वास प्रश्वासका रोगहरू बढाउनेदेखि लिएर जस्तो ब्रोन्काइटिस, दीर्घकालका दमखोकी, रुगाखोकी, भाइरल फ्लूका समस्याहरूदेखि लिएर कमन कोल्ड भन्छौँ नि, ती समस्याहरू पनि बढ्दै जाने र अन्ततोगत्वा यसले दीर्घकालीन रूपमा अनुसन्धानले देखाएको जस्तो पक्षघात, हृदयघात हैन र स्ट्रोकका घटनाहरू, यिनीहरू घटनाहरूलाई र उच्च रक्तचापलाई कैयौं गुणा बढाइदिएको, मधुमेहलाई पनि सुगर बढाइदिने गर्छन् दीर्घकालीन रूपमा।
Experts emphasize eating hot and soupy foods in sufficient quantities to keep the body warm from inside during cold weather, and also exercising caution while using fire or coal indoors for warmth.
An abrupt surge in cold weather accompanied by thick fog has spread across Madhya and Lumbini provinces and severely affected mobility, livelihoods and daily routines. Here's a report by Bijeta Bhandari along with Keshav Bhandari.
In recent days, the cold has suddenly intensified across the country sharply. Since last Thursday, dense fog has brought piercing cold across Madhya and Lumbini provinces. Districts including Janakpur, Rupandehi, Kapilvastu, Banke, Tang, Bardia, Palpa, Gulmi and Argakhachi have also experienced noticeable drops in temperature. In the southern plain Tarai region of Nepal, minimum temperatures range from 4 degrees Celsius to 7 degrees Celsius, while daytime highs rise slightly between 7 degrees Celsius and 12 degrees Celsius. With the increase in cold due to the cold wave, pedestrian and vehicular activity has decreased on the streets. The cold winds combined with fog have made even stepping outside challenging. Until 4 days ago, mornings, evenings and nights were cold, but the days were generally sunny. The cold has especially been affecting daily life in Rupandehi. Children, the elderly and people with chronic illnesses have been particularly vulnerable to the cold.
हामीलाई चिसो भएको कारणले पढ्न पनि राम्रोसँग मिले छैन। बहुत धेरै चिसो छ। 3-4 दिनदेखि त चिसोको नाम खतम भयो। लुम्बिनीमा घाम नलागेको आज ठ्याक्कै 4 दिन भयो। बढी थियो तर आज चाहिँ लास्टै जाडो भइराछ लुम्बिनीमा। धेरै एकदमै गाह्रो भइराछ है।
जाड़ों में काम करना तो लाइक तो जाए कितना कठिन हो, इतना ठंड में जाने हो, काम करने हो, तभी तो पैसा मिलने हो।
4 दिन भयो घाम देख्न नपाएको। किन जाडो त यस्तै हो।
The harsh cold has made it difficult for students to attend school and for laborers and farmers to go out for regular work, leaving their families vulnerable. To cope with the cold, locals have started lighting fires to keep warm. The District Disaster Management Committee of Rupandehi in a recent meeting approved the Cold Wave Risk Preparedness and Response Plan 2082 to be effectively implemented. However, the plan has not yet been put into action, leaving daily survival for the poor and marginalized extremely difficult.
With winter temperatures dropping sharply across Nepal, health risks are rising, especially in the Tarai and hilly regions. Earlier, we spoke to Dr. Yogendra Amatya, Assistant Professor at the Patan Academy of Health Sciences, on how residents can stay safe. Here are the excerpts of the conversation. What immediate precautions should residents take to protect themselves from extreme cold?
Precaution. So the first and most important precaution step is avoiding unnecessary exposure to cold, especially at early morning. So these early mornings, walking might be a risk during this winter season, and even late night. Wearing warm clothes, keeping the chest, neck, and head covered with clothes is very important. People should stay hydrated, take warm food, such as warm water, soup, or drink. This helps maintain the body temperature and keeps the airways moist. And those for special groups like people with asthma, polyobstructive pulmonary disease, they should keep their medicines regularly. They shouldn't stop the medicine, especially in winter season. And they need to consult the doctor at early symptoms arise.
Now, Nepal's Election Commission has finalized the province-wise vote weightage for the upcoming National Assembly election. Provincial Assembly members and local government chiefs and deputies will serve as voters. with vote values set at 53 for provincial lawmakers and 19 for local representatives. Based on these calculations, Koshi province has the highest vote weightage, followed by Madhesh and Bagmati, while Karnali has the lowest. Elections will be held for 18 of the 19 vacant National Assembly seats, with one member to be nominated by the government. Nepali Congress President Sher Bahadur Dewa and CPN-UML Chair KP Sharma Oli held a meeting today in Kathmandu. The discussion took place at Dewa's residence in Maharajganj and focused on contemporary political issues. This marks their first meeting since Oli was elected chairperson at the 11th UML Congress. Police have detained 8 youths who took part in a protest at Maiti Ghar Mandala called by the Gen Z group led by Miraj Tongana. Authorities say the demonstration violated legal provisions as no permission was obtained from the District Administration Office for rallies, sit-ins or public gatherings. According to Kathmandu Police spokesperson DSP Pawan Kumar Bhattarai, the protests, including slogans over unresolved demands, led to the arrest of the participants, including Rabi Kiran Hamal. Construction of Siddha Baba Tunnel, being built with government funding, has reached in fact 65% completion. The 1126-meter tunnel is part of the Siddhartha Highway in Tunau Rural Municipality in Palpa, and 3 bypass tunnels have also been completed. However, access roads to the tunnel, cliff protection, retaining walls and rock shed structures are still under construction. Energy, Physical Infrastructure, Transport and Urban Development Minister Kulman Khising recently inspected the site, urging authorities and contractors to accelerate work and complete the project on time. The minister also instructed that pending approvals and the contractor's request for a 19-month extension due to delays be resolved immediately, ensuring the project meets its 2026 deadline. The Millennium Challenge Account Nepal Development Board MCA Nepal has signed 2 contracts totaling around $23.7 million for the implementation of 2 road infrastructure projects. A contract valued at around $20 million was awarded to Sharma Kumar Joint Venture for the upgrading of Dhankhola Lamahi section of the East-West Highway under MCC Nepal Compact Road Maintenance Program. Likewise, MCA Nepal has recently entered into a separate agreement worth about $3.66 million with the International Consultants and Technocrats Private Limited for supervising the upgrading works on the same road section and for conducting periodic maintenance of the Narayan Ghat Moglin Highway.
यस आयोजना अन्तर्गत पूर्व पश्चिम राजमार्गको धानखोलादेखि लमैसम्म 40 किलोमिटर जति छ। यो क्यारेज वे चाहिँ 7 मिटरको हुनेछ र दायाँ बायाँ 2.5 मिटर भएर यो 12 मिटरको चौडाइ हुनेछ, जबकि आज रोड चाहिँ त्यहाँ नाप्दाखेरि 6 मिटर कहीँ 6.5 मिटर मात्रै देखिन्छ।
This milestone reflects the strength of our bilateral relationship, the momentum of the Millennium Challenge Compact, and our shared commitment to delivering tangible results for the people of Nepal and the American businesses that are working here.
Counting of snow leopards has begun in Mustang for the first time to determine their actual population. The Annapurna Conservation Area Project, ACAP, has launched an extensive camera trap survey across 161 grids in both lower and upper Mustang. The cameras will remain in the field for up to 6 months, with local teams and ACAP technicians monitoring the elusive big cats. Here's a report.
Counting of snow leopards has begun for the first time in Mustang, marking a major step toward understanding the population of one of Nepal's most elusive wildlife species. The Annapurna Conservation Area Project, ACAP, Mustang has launched a systematic camera trap survey across upper and lower Mustang. Under the survey, 161 camera trapping grids have been designed at 5-kilometer intervals to scientifically record snow leopard movement and presence. So far, 111 cameras have been installed in key locations, including Baragaon Mukti area and Gharapjong Rural Municipality with support from conservation partner Biocost Nepal. Winter has been selected strategically for the survey as snow leopards descend to lower elevations in search of prey during this season, improving the chances of capturing pictures. The cameras will remain active in the field for up to 6 months, allowing researchers to identify individual animals and estimate population density. The Mustang initiative contributes to Nepal's wider snow leopard conservation efforts. According to Nepal's first comprehensive national assessment released earlier this year, the country is estimated to be home to around 397 snow leopards, placing Nepal among the top snow leopard range countries and accounting for nearly 10% of the global population. Conservationists say local-level surveys like the one in Mustang are crucial for strengthening national data, reducing human-wildlife conflict, and guiding long-term protection of the iconic Himalayan predator.
Now, local communities in Kaski are taking steps to protect the endangered vulture, long considered nature's scavenger. In Pokhara metropolitan city, Bagmara, residents have started active conservation efforts for the small brown vulture, which has become critically endangered due to habitat loss and the use of veterinary chemicals. Experts say protecting vultures not only helps preserve biodiversity, but also promotes a cleaner environment and supports tourism. At present, only about 75 small brown vultures remain in Nepal, and local pairs in Bagmara are now nesting, highlighting the urgent need for community-driven protection initiatives. Conservationists emphasize safe feeding, pesticide-free food, and secure habitats to prevent the spread of diseases like cholera and rabies, while safeguarding these vital scavengers. International news coming up next. For now, a look at the headliners once again. Nepal's Prime Minister says the government is fully prepared to hold election on March 5, calls for unity among all parties. Election officials confirm readiness. Severe winter cold grips Nepal with frost and cold waves disrupting daily life. Hospitals report more cold-related illnesses, flights delayed and schools closed in several districts. Thousands of students affected as schools across Kathmandu shuts down after a student group strike. Education officials say issues should be settled through dialogue. Journalists in Bangladesh rally after arson attacks on 2 leading newspapers during recent unrest in Dhaka. A Russian general killed in a car bombing in Moscow. Investigators probing possible Ukrainian involvement. Kyiv yet to comment. And high ticket prices for the 2026 World Cup sparks debate among football fans. Following a team through the tournament likely to cost thousands of dollars. Officials from Thailand and Cambodia will meet next week to discuss the possibility of reviving a ceasefire, Thailand's foreign ministry has said, as deadly border clashes entered a 3rd week. Both countries had signed a ceasefire earlier in July, brokered by US President Donald Trump. But fighting broke out again earlier this month, which both countries have blamed each other for. On Monday, top officials from both countries met at a summit in Malaysia, their first face-to-face meeting since fighting resumed. U.S. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff has hailed talks on ending Moscow's war in Ukraine as productive and constructive after holding separate meetings with Ukrainian, European and Russian negotiators in the state of Florida. The talks in Miami on Sunday were the latest in a series of meetings between the U.S., Russia and Ukraine on a 20-point plan touted by U.S. President Trump to end the nearly 4-year-old war. Despite the optimism from the U.S., there have been no clear signals of imminent resolutions to key hurdles, including on the issue of the territory Russia has seized during the conflict. Witkoff, who met with Russian President Vladimir Putin's special envoy Kirill Dmitriev on Saturday, held talks on Sunday with officials from Ukraine and Europe. Iran's foreign ministry spokesperson has reiterated that the country's missile program is a defensive measure designed to deter potential attacks, insisting it is not subject to international negotiation. Speaking to the press, the spokesperson said the program is a core component of Iran's national security strategy and is aimed at protecting the country from external threats. The statement comes amid ongoing international concern over Iran's ballistic missile tests, particularly from Western nations and the United Nations, which have repeatedly called for restraint and dialogue. Japan is set to resume operations at the world's largest nuclear power plant, Kashiwazaki Kariwa. The partial restart of the plant got the green light in a vote on Monday by the Niigata local government. Japan has reopened several nuclear facilities as it seeks to reduce emissions, reversing policy 15 years after 54 reactors were shut in the wake of the Fukushima disaster, despite public opposition. Well, business news and sports update after this short break.
Gold prices surged to an all-time high of $4,383.76 per ounce on Monday as investors grew increasingly optimistic that the U.S. Federal Reserve will continue cutting interest rates next year. The rally follows a series of recent economic reports indicating slower U.S. job growth and easing inflation, which market analysts say gives the Federal Reserve room to further ease monetary policy. Traders cited the combination of weaker labor market data and persistent demand for safe haven assets as key drivers behind the surge in gold prices. Analysts warn, however, that market volatility could remain high as investors await upcoming central bank announcements and economic indicators. India and New Zealand have successfully concluded negotiations on a comprehensive free trade agreement covering trade in goods, services, and investment, marking a major step in strengthening economic ties between the two countries. India's Commerce and Industry Minister Piyush Goyal highlighted that New Zealand will invest $20 billion in India over the next 15 years, signaling a new era of cooperation and mutual trust. New Zealand's Prime Minister noted that the agreement will reduce or remove tariffs on 95% of New Zealand's exports. Projections indicate that New Zealand's exports to India could grow by $1.1 to $1.3 billion annually over the next 2 decades. The deal is expected to boost trade, create jobs, increase wages, and expand opportunities for people in both countries. Vietnam's total import-export turnover in 2025 is projected to set a new all-time record of $920 billion, placing the country among the world's top 15 trading economies and paving the way for stronger economic growth. Exports are expected to reach $470 billion, a 16% increase over 2024. The trade surplus for 2025 is projected at $22 billion, contributing to the strengthening of foreign reserves, exchange rate stability, and macroeconomics indicators. According to the Ministry of Industry and Trade, from 2021 to 2025, Vietnam has seen a positive structural shift toward modern and sustainable trade, with export products becoming increasingly diversified. Shopkeepers in Bethlehem, the traditional birthplace of Jesus Christ, are hoping for a surge in visitors during Christmas week after a prolonged slump caused by the war in Gaza. The conflict has taken a heavy toll on the occupied West Bank city, which relies almost entirely on tourism. Of late, signs of festive life returned as Bethlehem lit its Christmas tree for the first time since the war began more than 2 years ago. Authorities say security measures will be increased during the holiday period. Officials hope the influx of tourists will help revive Bethlehem's struggling economy.
Time now for a sports update. Morocco got the party underway, but relief was the overriding emotion on Sunday as they overcame tiny Comoros 2-0 in the opening game of the Africa Cup of Nations finals. Rain dampened the atmosphere, and a nervy start, including a wasted penalty opportunity, reflected the intense pressure on the home team, who are the runaway favourites, but looking for their first Cup of Nations success in 50 years. It was only in the second half of the Group A game that they were able to break through with goals from Brahim Diaz and Ayoub Al-Kabi, though the scoreline might have been more flattering as the Minnows tired in the closing stages. Time now for a quick look at the weather, first from across Nepal and then from around the world. And before wrapping up, here's a look into the headlines once again. Nepal's Prime Minister says the government is fully prepared to hold elections on March 5. Calls for unity among all parties. Election officials confirm readiness. Severe winter cold grips Nepal, with frost and cold waves disrupting daily life, causing illness, flight delays and school closures. Thousands of students affected as schools across Kathmandu shut down after a student group strike. Education officials urge for dialogue. Journalists in Bangladesh rally after arson attacks on 2 leading newspapers in Dhaka, urging authorities to protect press freedom as police investigate. A Russian general killed in a car bombing in Moscow. Investigators probing possible Ukrainian involvement. Kyiv yet to comment. And high ticket prices for the 2026 World Cup spark debate as following a team through the tournament could cost fans thousands of dollars. And that is all for the moment here on NTV World News Hour. Do join us through our social media pages and also follow our website nepaltelevision.com for more updates. I'm Sarah Sapsanamarai. Thanks for joining us. Good night.